All right, everybody, what is going on? How you feeling after that game? Certainly an interesting game, certainly a game with a couple of conflicting storylines. 26 nothing Seahawks, and look, shutouts do not come easy in this modern NFL, where many rules, I'd say most rules that have been altered or added or taken away in the last couple of decades have been to make it easier to score, make it easier to play offense. Shutouts are a rare, precious thing. So 26 nothing is going to make a lot of people happy. And obviously, you can't pitch a shutout without a great effort from the defense, and we certainly got that today. I don't know about the offense. Certainly, that's going to be the side of the ball that some people are wondering about right now because there were some issues there. But hey, 26 nothing is going to make people happy in most cases. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so I guess let's open it up with the defense because that's the side of the ball where people are definitely gonna get pumped up about. People are definitely gonna be up on. After this week, we might have the number one scoring defense in the league. I don't know. It's gonna be up there. It's gonna be up there. So let's celebrate a 5 turnover game, a 4 sack game, and maybe this is the most impressive part about it, a game where you allowed less than 3.5 yards per snap. Less than 3.5 yards per offensive play for the Vikings. And look, you don't get there without a pretty poor effort from the opposing quarterback, and we definitely got that today. Brosmer was awful, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And he never really had a chance in a game like this. I get it. But the defense still has to go out there and find a way to earn it. And I think Greg Olsen did a really good job of calling this out a couple times on the broadcast. And I know we're not big fans of Greg Olsen around here, but there were a couple moments in this game where it would have been very easy for a Seahawks player to just kind of go through the motions, but they didn't. And because they didn't, they were able to make a big play out of what would have been probably just a normal play most of the time. The two most obvious examples would be DeMarcus Lawrence. He's out of the play. It's a little screen pass to Aaron Jones in the flat. He is way out of the play. And it's 3rd and long. So DeMarcus Lawrence could absolutely just stand there, watch the defense come up and tackle him, Aaron Jones, and set up a long field goal and just be like, okay, I did my job. But he chases the play down from behind. He forces a fumble, and the Vikings don't even get a shot at a field goal because of DeMarcus Lawrence just deciding, you know what, I'm going to go above and beyond here. And he also called out the same thing with Ernest Jones, right? Ernest Jones. Game is over. It's the 4th quarter, I believe. The game is over. He's out there doing his own drop. Pass gets thrown way away from him, like way away from him. He absolutely could have just stood there, watched the pass go, have it maybe be completed, maybe be knocked down, maybe be incompleted down the field, whatever, and then you just go to the next play. But he chases the play, ball gets batted up, and he gets his 2nd interception of the day. And you see things like that, and it makes you think this has the chance to be a truly special defense. Like, best in the league carries you most of the way to a championship type defense. So right there, obviously, we talked about the numbers, the 0 points, the 100 and what was it, 162 yards allowed on defense, the 5 turnovers, the 4 sacks, the quarterback pressures. But those are the things that really stick with you after you watch this game, because everything I just said numerically, you could figure out by looking at a box score. But the box score, it only goes so far in showing you what really happened out there, and it's plays like that. Plays like that remind you of the 2013 team, the 2014 team, even the 2012 team. That was a team that obviously didn't make it super far into the playoffs, but they showed you they were a defense that was special and was built to do great things. Other than that, though, I mean, even without the forced fumble, DeMarcus Lawrence is playing ridiculously good right now. He had a sack. He had a pressure that turned into a pick 6 for Ernest Jones. He creates that play. He does so much dirty work stuff out on the edge that we as fans barely even notice most of the time. He is rushing the passer like he's in his prime, but he's playing run defense like he's a 12-year veteran, which is what he is. It's crazy how good we have gotten Miles out of D-Law when this was a free agency signing that could have absolutely been one of those that just kind of goes, well, we signed an old veteran hoping he could give us one more good year, and he didn't. And to see it go this way, where if anything, he's better than he's been in Dallas for quite some time. It's unreal. Ernest Jones, 5 interceptions for Ernest Jones. When we traded for Ernest Jones, we thought to ourselves, we knew the coverage. He's not a good cover player. He's going to be a liability in coverage. And I'm not saying that he's suddenly Luke Kuechly out there. I understand that it's not that simple, but for him to be this effective in coverage is out of this world. And there's not enough that can be said about him on a day like today, but even in general, just absolutely insane stuff there. And while we did see that we can get good play out of this defense without Ernest Jones out there, you very clearly get a picture, sorry if you guys can hear that, of how much better he is in these zone drops, just through his awareness of where he needs to be and his understanding of landmarks. So, I mean, that's another one that could have gone either way. Realistically, could have gone either way. When you trade for that guy and you sign that guy, you know there's some risk. The injuries, the fact that the Rams basically gave him away, the fact that the Titans turned around and basically just flipped him right after that. Like, you look at that, and you could definitely say, hey, this could go well, this could not go well. This can go one way or the other. And for it to have gone this way, this strongly, to where, I don't know, maybe he should make the All-Pro team this year. Maybe he should be like an All-Pro linebacker this year. It's otherworldly. It's otherworldly. And I could go on and on about the defense. Woolen gets his first pick, even though he messed it up later. Kobe got a pick. Byron Murphy got the late sack. Uchenna Nwosu got a half sack. Drake Thomas. So much good stuff in a game like this. I mean, you're not gonna pitch a shutout and give up less than 3.5 yards per play without being very, very good on every level defensively. So there's so little to call out. Like maybe Eamon Worry, right? Eamon Worry was like, gave up the one big play the Minnesota passing attack had, the TJ Hawkinson pass. And then you had the penalty where he did a WWE finisher on Jefferson, I guess. That's about it. Yeah, that's really about all you can say. Like, other than that, man, it's everything you could ask for. So, right now, I don't know if this defense is statistically going to be the best in the league, but I don't think there's another defense I would rather have right now than this Seattle defense. And This is a league with some good defenses right now. You've got like Denver, right? You've got a team like Denver with a really good defense. You've got, I mean, not so much today, but the Rams defense has been really good. But I might take Seattle's defense over all of them. Offensively, like I said, this is the side of the ball that people are gonna have questions about right now. Mostly just the passing game did not work at all today. We were about as bad throwing the ball as Minnesota was, except for the turnovers. And the turnovers, hey, they make all the difference, right? There's a difference between turning the ball over 5 times and turning the ball over once. But the passing attack did not work today, and you can definitely spend a little bit of time breaking down every single play that went wrong, and there were a lot of plays that went wrong, but more than anything, I look at Brian Flores, who I think is a phenomenal defensive mind, and I look at what he was doing to our pass protection, and I think he just did a really, really good and beautiful thing today. And for a guy who has lost so much of his aura from last year, it was kind of a callback to the Vikings of last year. The Vikings defense was doing that almost every week last year to opposing quarterbacks. And it's like, yeah, it really is like that for one day Brian Flores got back in his bag. Now, part of it was that we allowed him to get back into his bag because we kept getting into third and must pass. But when you allow Flores to know that you're throwing the ball and know that you have to hold the ball for at least a second and a half, you are opening yourself up to him just kind of dialing up something disgusting. And that's what happened today over and over and over again. And the end result is what you get. Darnold getting hit constantly, holding onto the ball too long, dancing in the pocket, and you end up with a pretty bad game. Yeah, it was a bad game. I don't think there's any way around that. I don't think that it could have been worse, but it was certainly a bad game by this passing offense. JSN basically gave you nothing, which is a heartbreaker. I know. AJ Barner is your leading receiver with 35 yards. That's how this game went. You almost had more sack yards lost than you had yards gained by your leading receiver. I do think we ran the ball fine. I understand that it wasn't amazing, but I do think we ran the ball pretty well. A lot of our unsuccessful carries were at the end of the game when we were just trying to run the clock out. And understand this Seahawks offense played very conservatively once they went up like 13-0, 16-0, 19-0. You know the game's over pretty much because Brosmer can't do anything. Once the game got to like 16-0 on the first drive of the third quarter, then the game's over. Like Max Brosmer is not going to score 3 times. There's just it would take such a monumental fluke for the Vikings to win at that point that it just makes sense for your team to hurdle up a little bit, especially when they can't protect. So I'm not reading into that too much. I think the run game was good. I really liked what I saw from Walker today. Charbonnet got it going eventually, and he had some really nice carries in this game, including, of course, the end touchdown, but I think he also did a good job picking up some tough yards. Yeah, it is kind of interesting, right? Because throughout most of this season, this Seattle offense has been really good against stacked boxes. The fact that opposing teams stack the box against Seattle is one of the main reasons why Seattle has been so good offensively. Today, Minnesota stacked the box, but Seattle just couldn't find success against those stacked boxes. And I think part of it is because Minnesota likes to stack the box but not go single high up top. And I think that takes away a lot of what of Seattle wants to do against those stacked boxes, but it was very interesting today to see what Flores pulled out. Now, I do think that if they had gone to the quick game earlier, it probably would have been better. And I don't know why we were starting this game off with a plan to play just kind of like normally when we know this Vikings defense likes to get tricky and likes to send exotic looks. I don't know why we didn't go to the quick game earlier. Felt like we didn't really go to it until the second half. And even then it wasn't great. It was just okay. But I think Kubiak gets a little bit fancy sometimes. Some people have speculated maybe he's thinking about trying to be a head coach next year. He's getting a little fancy play syndrome. Could be, but when the going gets tough, I hope he realizes that, look, when it's 3rd and 1, you can just barnyard. You can just run the barnyard. It's fine. You don't need to audible out of the barnyard into a play action pass. You don't need to fake the barnyard and run some kind of pitch. You don't need to do anything other than run the barnyard until somebody stops it, because right now that play looks pretty unstoppable, and realistically it's going to get outlawed next year. So use it while you can use it. That would be one thing that I would definitely recommend implementing as these games get bigger. Because, today, whatever. Today, low stakes game because the Vikings offense was useless. But when you get to these games against better teams, like the Rams, like the Niners, maybe the Colts, we'll see what the Colts are with no Sauce potentially and Daniel Jones playing on a broken leg. But just run the barnyard every time until somebody actually stops it, because nobody stopped it yet. You've stopped yourself a couple times, but you have not actually been stopped when you run the barnyard. Stuff like that. So I think that's really about all that need to be said. Jason Myers, great game by him, and he was he had a couple long kicks today. So shout out to him. I was worried about him earlier this year, but he's really starting to kind of come along here. Yeah, I think that's about all there is to say. And, even with everything that I just said, one thing to keep in mind, Darnold had a lot of passes batted down at the line today, like 5, it felt like. That's a little bit fluky. All right, so even as you're talking about this passing attack and you're being hard on them because they didn't play very well today, keep in mind that kind of stuff is not going to happen all that often. All right, so I'm going to go and get out of here. Thank you for watching. I'm going to stream later tonight. We're going to talk a little bit more about this game. Going to go for maybe an hour. And, yep, 26-0. 26-0. Doesn't get a lot better than that. I know that, we all want the 40-0 game where the offense goes off too, but it's not always in the cards. But 26-0, that sounds like a team that can make a run to me. All right, go Hawks. See you guys soon.